able to send in the recording for the last time. We just got it sorted out this morning, which during the course of the training, will send to the WhatsApp platform for everybody to see and to check through. So we are really sorry. Please accept our apology for not sending it during the week. We are starting this. We are starting today, and now I first want to ask if anybody has any question concerning last training, the 2 days. We'll take about 1 or 2 questions. If you have gone through your work, we'll take about 1 or 2 questions before we start today's session. But before we start, I want one of our mommy in the house to give us a word of encouragement. I want to welcome QS Mercy Yota. She's one of our big mentors for waxing, and she was the first woman president for the Nigeria Institute of Quantity Surveying, and she has been one that we all look up to in every way. She has been one of the pillars of the profession, and we want to hear a word or two from her this morning to encourage us in our profession and even this training. So we welcome Mommy Mercy Yota to give us a word of encouragement. Thank you, Ma.
Thank you. Good morning. Can you hear me?
We can hear you, Ma.
Okay, good. Good morning to the chairperson of waxing, the MC, the resource persons. I want to really commend the effort of waxing in capacity building. This is very paramount, especially now that things are going virtual, especially now that technology is evolving day by day. Technology has taken over the whole space. So it's very, very important that we, as women of the Nigerian Institute of Quantity Surveyors, the female folk are not left behind in catching up with this technology. And for the waxing to organize this event for 3 consecutive times, it's really commendable. Also commendable is the efforts of our members to participate in this virtual. Thank Aisha and her group. And I want to all our participants, very fruitful celebration. I want to encourage us all to pay rapt attention, because I know what Ndubisi can do. Stanley is very vast in this software application, and he has been using it very well to enhance his work as a quantity surveyor. And so each time somebody is looking for somebody who can do something, prepare the do quantity surveying services in a very fast manner, very expedient way, they always go looking for him. So if you grasp this, you will also fall in the same boat with him. People will be looking for you when they want their services to be delivered very fast. They will not be looking for somebody who will take 2 weeks, 1 month to prepare bill of quantities, but somebody will take 1 hour, 2 hours, and roll out whatever is required. So please, I want to encourage those who have already started this to continue and pay rapt attention, and those who are just joining in today for the first time to try to catch up with what they've missed. It's easy to do. I know that some people, even on their own, they just learn. So you can catch up at any time. So thank you. Thank the MC. I thank all of you. Aisha, thank you so much. God bless you as you continue with the training.
Thank
Thank you.
you. Thank you, ma.
Thank you
you,
so
ma.
much.
Yes, ma.
God bless you for that word of encouragement. We are not taking it lightly. But when we see mommies like you still in the profession and agile, we are encouraged. Thank you so very much, ma. God bless you. Well, we are going to move on now. And like I said, the video of the last two trainings will be sent while we are in this training, so that we'll check it together, and we'll try to get the recording of this one to us early. So if there is any question, can one or two people just raise their hand if there is any question on the last session? Just one or two persons that will be on mute to ask the question, please. Informed question on the last training. Can you just signify by raising your hand so that we can move on? And if there is no question, then we'll go straight to, okay, there is one hand raised. Salisu, can you help us unmute the person? So we have enough, please. One or two, that's what I said, we have enough. Thank you. So I think Adedolapo Suru has raised up hands. Can you help us unmute the person?
Yes, lower his hand again. Can you please raise your hand again for identification? Okay. Allowed to talk. Okay.
Okay.
You can speak now, Adedolapo.
So Dolapo, please unmute yourself and ask your question, please. Hello.
Yeah, he still stays mute. As we continue, if there is any other ones we can prepare. Maybe it's not.
Okay. That because I can't actually see, so that's why I'm asking you to. I can't see the list of everybody. I'm only seeing the panelist list, so I can't really see who and who is raising up their hands. So anyway, in view of no really any question, because the Dolapo that raised up a hand is not, her mic is looking muted. I would like us to move on. Mr. Stanley has put some drawings on the WhatsApp group that we are supposed to have downloaded so that we can move with the flow of the session this morning. So which I hope every one of us has done so that we can start, or we have to finish 12 on the dot because the national is using the platform for other things. So Mr. Stanley, can we start this morning?
Yes, ma'am. Good morning to the chairperson of WACSIN and the national executives of WACSIN, and also our mother in the house, QS, Mercy. Good morning to you, ma, and all the participants that have been with us from the first day of our training to this present day, and those joining us for the first time, I salute you all. And also to the leadership of NIQS that made this, provided this platform for us to use for this webinar training. I greet you all and appreciate the privilege. We have worked on, I will quickly go through what we have done in the past 2 days of our training. The first day, we looked at how to use the auto takeoff category of EQS2 for auto takeoff and BOQ for a simple building project without column bases. Then the next day, which is the day 2, we looked at how to use the software for taking off BOQ for a duplex project that has column basis and column in substructure. Today, we'll be looking at how to use the software for a raft foundation project, which also have a ground beam. I have sent the drawing to the WhatsApp group and also the parameters of the data which we need to extract from the drawing. I also sent that to the WhatsApp group. So if you have printed the drawings, you can just follow up as we work on the project. And if you have not, you can just pay attention. Then after today's class, you can download and use what we have provided, the materials to practice. I'm going to share my screen now. Just like we have been using before, we are going to use the first category of EQS, which is auto takeoff and BOQ. And to have access to this category, you double click on the writing auto takeoff and BOQ. When you double click, it opens up the other sub items in the list. Then the particular form we are working with is the third item, which is building takeoff and BOQ. So you click on the third item to open up the software. Then after a while, it loads up the page. Then when the page is open, we'll go back to the drawing, which I sent to the group to view the data that we need to extract. For example, we need the site area, ground floor area, and other data. So this is the foundation, layout of the project we are working on. This project does not have trench excavation or column basis excavation. It's a bulk excavation they are doing here. So they are going to excavate the entire ground floor area to a depth of 0.75 meters. You know, when you are working on any project, the first thing is to understand the drawing. After you understand the drawing, that's when you know how to extract the data and the required data you need. Some people, when they see this project now, they will just start doing trench excavation or column-based excavation without knowing that this project does not even require trench or column-based excavation. And to know that is you check the foundation section. Let me quickly open the page back.
can continue, sir.
Okay. Okay, yes. So this is the foundation section that shows us the details of the foundation. From here, you can see that the natural ground level is at this point. Let me highlight it. So this place I marked red is the natural ground level. So you take note of that. And the entire ground beam, this is the ground beam. If you read the details, the data I sent, the ground beam starts from here to this point. Let me use another color for the ground beam. So the ground beam is this one that I'm marking blue, and the ground beam, this is the depth, which is 1.5 meters. So what we are excavating is just from this point down to this point, from here to here, which is half of 1.5. That's why you see we have 0.75 as the excavation depth. Then from this point to this point is 0.9 meters. That's the part of the foundation that is above ground level. So the part of the beam that is below ground level is half of 1.5. That's 0.75. So that's why we have all this data in the training data required for route foundation taking off, which I sent. The first is the site area, which is 1,724.6 square meters. The next is the ground floor area, which is this 504.6 square meters. The next is the ground floor perimeter. Then the next is the bulk excavation area. I made a mistake in the data I sent, the file I sent to the group. Please correct this bulk excavation area to square meter. We use meters there, so it's supposed to be 504.6 square meters. So you correct that. The reason is they are excavating the entire ground floor area down to a depth of 0.75 meters. Then they cast a thin thickness of blinding. They cast the beam. Then before they now cast the ground floor slab on top of all the beams. So the entire building, the entire ground beam is what we are looking at here. The layout of the foundation, which has 230 by 150, sorry, 230 by 1,500 ground beam. So the next is the bulk excavation average gap. In this case, we don't need a trench excavation gap. You can remember our first day of training, we used the trench excavation gap. In that case, we don't require to divide the gap by 2, because the trench in preparing earthwork support, the software uses the trench excavation gap times 2, then times the depth of the excavation. But in this case, we don't have trench, so we are using bulk. So when you are using our bulk excavation, when you see bulk excavation gap, you divide the perimeter by 2, because the software will still eventually multiply this value by 2, then times the depth of excavation for earthwork support. Then these are all the data, the group A data. Like I said on the first day of the training, that group A data are data that we need to measure before we can extract them from the drawing. While group B data are data that we read directly from the drawing, like the topsoil excavation depth, the oversight slab thickness, the laterite filling. You can see the laterite filling here is much, it's 1.15. And if you check the foundation, you can see this portion is the laterite from this place down to this place. Then the rock filling is what we have at the top here. So that's why we have a 1.15 for laterite filling, and then the rock filling is 0.3. Then the next is the foundation wall gap. Although we don't have block wall in the foundation, but the reason why we are using this gap here is so that the software can deduct the surface area of the beam. Because in calculating laterite and rock filling, it calculates the effective compartment area, then multiply by the thickness for laterite or the thickness for rock and hardcore. As you can see, we don't have a foundation wall height here, because the foundation wall height is supposed to be the gap times the height. So when you go to the build, after we are done today, we are not going to have any value for block wall in foundation, because we don't have block wall in foundation in this case. So don't be confused when you see this foundation wall gap. We just provided it for deduction of the beam area in foundation to now have an effective filling area. Then we don't have trench width because it's a bulk excavation, but we have an excavation depth. So this is trench or bulk excavation depth, which is 0.75 meters. And I've explained why the ground beam is higher than the excavation depth. The ground beam protrudes above the ground level by 0.75. That's why we have the ground beam higher than the excavation depth. Then the next is we have blinding. We don't have a trench footing. Then I also made a mistake in the substructure plaster height. So you correct this. I used 0.3 in the data I sent. So you change it to 0.9 meters, because if you check here, the portion that they will plaster is the entire, this whole surface, because this is the surface that spans above ground level. So that's the portion that they will plaster, and that is 0.9 meters, as you can see here. So the next is the number of project, a number of work, which is just 1. The next is the data required for ground beam. We need the depth of the ground beam. The depth is 1.5 meters. The width is 0.23. Then the length of the ground beam is this, 319.7 meters. The number of beams is 1. Then the bar length, we actually increase this value by 15% to cover up for lapse. You can use any percentage you wish. I'll show you how to do that. That's how we got 367.63. Then the reinforcement in the beam, we have 2 types of reinforcement. We have Y16 and Y12 in the beam. If you check in the beam details here, you can see we have 3Y16 at the bottom, and we have 4Y16 at the top. Then at the side, these are the main bars. So the main bars are Y16. Then the runners are Y12. So we have 4Y12 on the left side, 4Y12 on the right side. So that's 8Y12. Then for the stirrups, we have Y10 for the stirrups. So that's why the stirrup is Y10 at 200 center to center. Then we are using 30 mm for the concrete cover. But remember, you need to convert this to meters when entering it into the software. Then for the columns, we have regular column, which is a square or rectangular columns. We also have a round column. If you check the foundation layout, you see the column arrangement there. We have regular column. Then these are the round columns, as you can see. So we have round column here. We have round column. So if you go through, you see all the round column. Then these are the regular columns. So if you count them, we have 52 regular column and 10 numbers of round column. And these are the details. The regular column, the length is 0.23, the breadth is 0.23. The height of the column, although the column is embedded in the beams, is 1.5 meters. The starter bar length is 2.78 meters. And if you check the foundation section here, you see the reinforcement is spanning from here, then protrudes above the ground level, which is above the ground floor slab, which is projection. So you see the further details here. So this is how we get 2.7, this 2.78. This is how we got it. We added 1.5 meters plus the bend here, then plus projection of 900 mm and the kicker of 75 mm. That's how we got 2.78 as the starter bar length. Then the next is the column bar is 4Y16. We don't have column base. The number of columns, regular column is 52. The next we look at the round column details, which is the diameter of the round column is 0.6 meters. It has same specification as the one as before described. Then we have the reinforcement is 6Y20. See, we have Y20 here, then we have Y16 at the regular column. The number is 10. So having done this, the next, remember on the first day of the training, I said we go through stages in using the software. The first stage is extraction of data, so, which we have done. So the step one is extraction of data and specification, which we have done. Step two is to input the data in required text boxes and cell. So we are heading on to step two now. Then after that, we save each of the page. Then we click result and final stage, which is a BOQ. So we are heading to stage two at the moment. So again, if you are just joined, this is the category we are working on, auto takeoff and BOQ. And we are using this third item on the list, building takeoff. So when it is clicked, it opens. So when this is open now, we are going to enter the data. So first, we are entering the site area. The site area is 1724.6 square meters. So the description, you can put a substructure there. So after this, the next data we are entering is the ground floor perimeter. And the ground floor perimeter is 92.81 meters. So we enter that value here, 92.81 meters. The next is the ground floor area. The ground floor area is what we have here as 504.6 square meters. 0.6 square meters. If you take note, the unit of measurement is specified at the title of each of the cells or the headers of each of the cell above. And the topsoil excavation depth is 0.15 meter. This is part of the Group B data. Then the next is the oversight slab thickness, which is also 0.15 meters. Then the next is the laterite filling thickness, which is 1.15 meters. And this is it from this is part of the Group B B data. Laterite filling thickness is 1.15 meters. Then the next is the rock filling thickness. The rock filling thickness is 0.3 meters. So enter 0.3 meters there. Then for trench gut, we don't have trench gut in this case. If you check the data that I sent, we don't have trench gut because we are doing a bulk excavation in this case. So you can put 0 here or you can leave it blank. Then, but for the wall gut, although we don't have block wall in the substructure, but I said for the software to calculate the area or the volume of laterite and rock filling, it will deduct the surface area of the ground beam from the entire ground floor area. Then it will now multiply by the thickness for either laterite or rock filling. And the gut we are going to use is the beam gut, which is 319.7 meters. 319.7 meters. Then we are also going to enter foundation wall thickness, which is 0.23 meters. So the software will multiply this by this now as the area to be deducted from the entire ground floor area to now give you the effective fill area. Then the next is foundation wall height. We don't have block wall in this case, so you put 0 there. You can put 0 or you leave it blank. The next is trench width. We don't have trench width, so you leave that blank or you put 0 there. So the next is the trench excavation depth, which is 0.75 meters. Then the next is blinding. If you check the drawing, there's a 50 mm blinding in the entire excavated area, and the entire excavated area is the ground floor area. So we put 50 mm. You convert to meters because if you check the heading, you see that everything is in meters. So if you convert 50 mm to meters, it gives you 0.05 meters. So the next is the trench footing thickness. We don't have trench in this case, so you put 0 there. If you take note, the first 2 days of our training, I told you to put 0 in this bulk excavation area because the first day we did strip foundation. The second day we did pad and strip foundation. So that's why we didn't have values in bulk excavation area, which is an option. And in this case, we are using a bulk excavation area. So if you take note, if you go back, you see our trench gut is 0 because we don't have trench. In this case, we have bulk excavation area. We do not have trench gut. So the bulk excavation area is the entire ground floor area, which is, if you check here, it's 504.6 square meters. So the initial document or details I sent to the WhatsApp group, there is a mistake in the unit. I mistakenly put meters there instead of square meters. So you correct it. It's supposed to be 504.6 square meters. And if you check the unit of measurement at the top, it's already in meters. Then the bulk excavation gut, which is the bulk excavation gut is this. Is the bulk excavation average gut. You know, the software uses this for earthwork support. And earthwork support, in this case of excavating the entire ground floor area, is just the ground floor perimeter then times the depth of excavation. But it's going to be divided by 2 because eventually the software will multiply that value by 2. So if you divide by 2, you use this value, which is 46.41. So the software multiplies this 46.41 by the depth of excavation, which we are going to provide them times 2 for the entire surface. So 46.41 is what we are going to use. Then the next is the substructure plaster height. So you should also correct the one in the document I sent. The document I sent has 0.3. It's supposed to be 0.9, because if we check the drawing properly, which we did earlier on, it's 0.9. We are plastering the surface that is above the ground level. So the number of work is 1. So this 0.9 is what we have. This is why it's 0.9. You know, this is the natural ground level. So we are going to plaster the entire surface area that is above the ground level, and that's why we use 0.9 as the substructure plaster height there. So the number of work, which is also number of projects, is 1. So after this is done, this is the output section of the software. The section that has 0 is the output section. So we have the site clearance area, topsoil excavation area, trench excavation, which is also the bulk excavation in this case. It's not trench, because the software uses the bulk excavation area which you provided earlier on, then times this depth of excavation. So if you should multiply this bulk excavation area by the trench excavation, which is trench excavation depth, which is 0.75, you are going to get this. That's how it arrived at that value. Then the topsoil disposal, surplus material disposal, leveling and compacting is the entire ground floor area they will level and compact. Then the earthwork support, anti-termite, backfilling, laterite filling, rock filling, blinding in trench. So this trench blinding, it means the entire surface blinding for the bulk excavation. The oversight slab thickness, you see now we don't have trench footing in this case. Formwork to edges of ground floor slab, mesh reinforcement. We don't have trench block wall because we only have ground beam, downproof membrane, downproof course, then plastering and painting of the external surface of the ground beam that is above the ground level. So this is the first stage. So after this is done, we move to the next step, which is to save the page. We are going to do this for each of the we are going to do this for each of the page we are going to work on. Today we are working on 4 pages. We are working on the first page, which is site and trench. Then we are working on ground beam page. That's ground beam details. We are working on the third, which is regular column in substructure. Then the last, which is round column in substructure. So we are done with the first page. So the next thing is to save that page now. And in saving the page, like I said in the first day, we create a folder on our desktop. So we already created a main folder on the first day of the training, which we named that folder EQS2 project. Then inside that folder, we are now creating subfolders, which we are saving the taking of data for each project we are working on. The first day we worked on community library, we saved all the data there. The second day we worked on projects with column basis, we saved the data there. So today we are going to create another folder inside that main folder. So on the home screen or the desktop screen of your computer, you can locate this main folder, which is EQS2 project. So when you open the main folder, if you have not created the folder, you can do that. There is a manual that we sent to the group also. If you read the manual, it will help you in, it will guide you through in creating the folder and subfolders. So inside this main folder now, we create a new folder. So this new folder, you can give it any name you wish. So I choose to name it Day 3 project. Training Day 3 project. So all the pages, the 4 pages we are working on, we are going to save the 4 pages into this Day 3 project. The pages we are saving, they are like a repository of taking off data which we use. And you can only read those data when you import it back to the software. Although you save them as an Excel file, but you cannot just work with it. You cannot open it on Excel and understand what is there. If you want to make corrections to your work, or you want to make some changes, you need to import the data back to the software before you can make any correction or addition with the data. You cannot just open it as an Excel file and utilize the data. So I'll go back now and we save the first page into that folder. So to save that, you just click Save Page. Save Page is at the top right side of your screen. So you need to minimize the panel that's at the right side now. You can minimize it so that you can see the entirety of the screen. So when you click Save Page, it's going to open the last folder that you worked on. So because I did a project recently with the software, and this is the last folder I worked on. So you need to click Desktop again on the right side, on the left side of your screen. If you check on the file path, this is called file path. If you check the file path and it's showing you a wrong folder, you see this is showing me Fence project, and this is not where I want to save this page into. I'm saving it into the 3 project. So to locate or navigate to that folder again, you click on Desktop on the left side of your screen. It brings out all the folders on your desktop. Then you click on the main folder, which is EQS2 project. Then you see the folder is empty. So to save, you just type file name here. And I say you save each of the page with the title of that page. The title of this page is Site and Trench Details. So you type Site and Trench Details and you click Save. The purpose of using the same title is so that when you want to import back, in case you want to make any correction or you want to use the data on a later date, it will be easy for you to identify the appropriate folder. Because if the appropriate file, well, if you should import a wrong file into the wrong page, you get wrong results. So after this page are saved, we move to the next tab, which we are working on, which is ground beam details. So we are going to the second page now, ground beam details. And the data we need for this page are what we have gone through before. The ground beam width is 0.23, the depth is 1.5 meters, the beam length is 3.19.7 meters, the number of beam is 1, the bar length is 367.63 meters. We actually increase this value by 15%. You can wish to increase yours by 20% or 15% or 10%. We did that to make up for lapse, because if you have a beam of this length, you cannot just have a reinforcement that is exactly the same length of the beam. The reinforcement is usually more than the length of the beam. Then the reinforcement, we have 7Y16 and 8Y12. The beam bar diameter, we have Y16 and Y12. The concrete cover is 30 mm. The stirrup is Y10 at 200 mm center to center. So now we proceed to entering this data into the software. So before we do that, we click the next page we want to work on, which is the ground beam details page. So when this page is open, first whenever you see a page that has a drop down like this is called drop down, you need to read it first because it can affect your results. The first is beam type. The beam type drop down has isolated or attached. Attached is when the surface of the beam is attached to a surface, then you use attached. If you use attached, then the formwork will be calculated for only the left and right sides of the beam. But if you should choose isolated, then the formwork will be calculated for the left, the right, and the bottom, which is the surface of the beam. So since the beam is attached to the ground level, sorry, it's attached to the blinding surface or the blinded surface, we use attached. And we are working on row 1. That's why we leave it at row 1 because we have one type of beam. But in the case where you have different types of beam that has different specification, you can have beam of 230 by 600, 230 by 450. You may decide to treat them as beam 1 on row 1, then beam 2 on row 2. So in that case, you also need to change these settings here. So the next is the position of the beam. The beam is part is below ground level, part is above ground level. So you can choose above ground level in this case. So you put a description as ground beam. You can abbreviate ground beam and Y16. So in this first row, I'm going to work on the ground beam concrete formwork reinforcement and stirrup. Because we have two types of reinforcement in the ground beam. We have Y16 and Y12. If you check the drawing, here, this is the ground beam section. We have 4 Y16 at the top. We have 3 Y16 at the bottom. They are the main bars. Then the runners are Y12. We have 4 Y12 at the left side, 4 Y12 at the right side. So that's why we have 8 Y12. And then when you add 4 plus 3, that's why we have 7 Y16. And the stirrup is Y10 at 200 centers. Okay, you see here, the concrete cover is actually 25 mm. So we are using 25 mm, not 30 mm. So you correct that as well. So we are going to work on, we name this ground beam 1 since it's just one beam. And we are working on the concrete and the reinforcement details on the first row. So on the second row, we are only going to work on the second type of reinforcement, which is Y12 reinforcement. So you go back here, you put the beam width is 0.23, the depth is 1.5, the beam length is 319.7, the number of beams is 1, the beam bar length. So the reason why we got this value, if you go back to the data, why we got 367.63 as the beam bar length is because we increased the beam length, which is 319.7 by 15% to cover up for laps. And you can use this icon, this form at the toolbar at the top. This one that has 2 arrows, one pointing up, one pointing down. It's called value modifier. You can use it to increase or reduce a value by a particular percentage which you should choose. So when you click this, this comes up. So this is called value modifier form. So it says please select. You click this drop down, it gives you two options, increase or reduce. So we are increasing the beam length, which is 319.7 by a particular percent to make up for lapse. So we say 319.7. Then let's say we are increasing by 15%. So that's how we got 367.655. So if you approximate, it's how we got this 367.63. So we are using 367.65 or 66 in this case. So we say 367.66. So back to this value modifier, you can use this form when you want to increase any value, maybe rate. You may price a bill and they say the rate is too high, that you should reduce by 12% or by 8%. If you are reducing, you change this to reduce. Let's say you use 45,000 for concrete, for example, and you want to reduce by 8%. You just click this, it gives you the new value. And if you are increasing, you change this to increase. Let's say you want to increase a particular value by 9.5%. So that's the usefulness of this form. So the next is a number of bars. Remember, we are working on the first row. The first row is on Y16, and the number of Y16 for this project is 7. So you put 7 there, number of bars, 7 Y16. So we are going to work on Y12 on the second row. So the diameter of the bar is 16. There's also a mistake here. Number of beams is supposed to be number, not meter. So take note of that. So you just put 1 there. So the next is stirrup length. Stirrup length, when you open the ground beam detail here, you can see the stirrup. The stirrup is Y10 and it spans through the depth of the beam, and it has a little lap here. So the beam is 230 by 1.5 meters. So we used the stirrup calculator the other day. We're also going to use that for the stirrup calculation here. So you click stirrup calculator and this comes up. So you must select first before you, wherever you see please select, you click to select an option. We have, when you're calculating for regular shape stirrup, which is a square or rectangular or triangular shape or round shape. So we are working on a rectangular shape. So you choose regular shape. The next is the length. The length is 1.5. Then the breadth is 0.23. The concrete cover is 25 mm. Put it in meters, which is 0.025 meters. Then the lapse, we are using 0.2 in this case. I think 0.2 will be too small because of the depth of the beam. So let's use 0.3 meters. So one side 150, the other side 150. That's why we say 2 laps. So we use 0.3 meters. This is at your own discretion. You can use whichever value you want here, but the value you are using here, it will affect your result. So when you click calculate, you get the stirrup length, which is 3.56 meters. So you put that here, 3.56 meters. Then the next stirrup diameter is 10 mm. You put 10 there. The stirrup spacing is 0.2. Then the adjoining surface width. The meaning of this is, we said earlier on that the beam is resting on the ground. It's resting on the blended surface. The surface of the surface of the beam that is touching the ground is 0.23. So that's the meaning of adjoining surface. Then the next is concrete cover, which is 0.025 meters. So with this, we have results for, or output for the beam concrete volume, the formwork to the 2 sides of the beam. You know that if I should change this now to isolated, you see the results for the formwork has changed. If I change it back, in this isolated now, it's calculating for 3 sides of the beam, the left and right side and the surface, but we are using attached in this case. So the next is reinforcement. Note that this reinforcement for the first row is Y16. This is the reinforcement in meters, in kg, and in tons. Then the next is the stirrup. Stirrup in meters, in kg, in tons. So we are done for the beam concrete formwork and Y16 reinforcement. The next we are going to is Y12 reinforcement. So Y12 reinforcement, we just put Y12 here as the description. So you also change this to 2, you change this to 2, since they have the same specifications. So in this second row now, we are only interested in reinforcement in this case. We are not going to provide details that are related to concrete and formwork or stirrup. The details that are related to concrete and formwork are like the length of the beam, the width of the beam, the depth of the beam, and the stirrup length. We are going to leave those data blank because we have done that in the first row. We are only providing Y12 details on the second row. So we navigate to the cell where the reinforcement details is requested of. And first we provide the number of beam is 1. You see, we are not putting anything here. You can put 0 or you can leave it blank. So let's put the beam width is 0. The beam depth is 0, because we have already treated all this in the first row. We are only working on reinforcement Y12 on the second row. The beam length 0, but number of beam, you must put 1 here. If not, your result would be 0, because the software relates all the calculation back to the number thereof. So here, we are only going to provide the beam bar length, which is also 367.66. So if you are working on a project that has a different Y12 length, you can change that in here. And the number of Y12 is 12, sorry, it's 8 numbers. We have 4 at the left and 4 at the right. Then the diameter is 12. So you see, in the second row, we only provided the data that are associated with Y12 reinforcement, which is just the number of the beam, the length of the beam, the number of bars, which is the length of the bar, the beam bar length. That is it means the beam reinforcement length. Number of bars is 8. The diameter is 12. So we are not going to provide anything for stirrup and others because we have done that in the first row. So you just put 0, 0, or you can leave it blank. So if you navigate to the output section, you see we have for the first row, which is concrete formwork and reinforcement for the entire beam. And on the second row, we have reinforcement Y12 details. This is the total length for Y12 reinforcement, the weight in kg, and also in tons. So in the final BOQ, the software adds up the total reinforcement in kg and gives you a singular result. So if you are interested in separating the reinforcement, that means you need to write this result out at this stage before you get to the BOQ. You need to write out on the paper that Y12 is, the first row is for Y16. So you need to write out the value for Y16 reinforcement, which is 4066.9, can approximate to 4067. Then the next is for Y12, which is right below it, 2614.47. So if you didn't do it like this, in the result, it sums both up. So with this, we are done with the ground beam. The next is to click Save Page. So when you click Save Page, it takes you to the last folder which you work on. I said that if you look at the file path, which is, if it gives you the correct file path, you just proceed to type in the file name, or which is the page name. And I'm on the correct folder, which is the 3 projects. So now you type in the details, which is the page name is Grand Beam Details. So when you have done that, you click save. Then after a while, it saves. So when it's finished saving, we move to the 3rd page we are working on, which is regular column details. So far we have worked on the 1st page, which is this. We have worked on the 2nd page. We worked on this page and we saved it. We worked on the 2nd page. We are heading on to the 3rd page, which is regular column details in substructure. And these are the data we need for the regular column details: the column length, breadth, the column in foundation height, starter bar length, the concrete cover, and other stirrup details, which is Y10 at 200, and so on and so forth. The number of column here is 52. The reason, okay, I'm going to click this regular column details page. The reason why regular column is separated from round column is because in regular column you need length and breadth, but in round column you need diameter. And even the formwork can be made of different materials, and they may have different rates. So in the bill, it's also separated there. So the regular column, we name it column 1. And the column is isolated because we are going to provide formwork to the 4 sides of the column. So let's choose isolated. Then the column is 0.23 length, the breadth is 0.23. Then the next is number of columns. Column number is 52. Number of bars, 4. Bar diameter, 16. That's Y16. The next is stirrup diameter is 10. That's Y10. Stirrup length is, if we should go back and check, we are using 30 mm. We can, yes, we are using 30 mm as the concrete cover. So we can use this stirrup calculator that we used earlier on. So when you click this stirrup calculator, this comes up. We want to use this to calculate the length of 1 stirrup. So when you provide the length of 1 stirrup, the software we calculate the total number of stirrup from the height or length that you will provide. So we are choosing regular shaped stirrup. The length is 0.23, the breadth is 0.23, the concrete cover is 0.03. The laps, we can use 0.2 or 0.15 or whatever you want to use. This is at your own discretion, but the value used here affects your result. You see, I'm using 0.2 here, my result is 0.88. If I should change it to 0.15, you know that the result has changed to 0.83. So you should take note of that. So we are using 0.88 as our single stirrup length. So the spacing is 0.2. Then the column in foundation height from what we have here is, you see the entire year of the ground beam is 1.5, which also says which also represents the height of the column. But let's go to the details here to have a better view of it. The 1.5 is from the bottom here to here, and we have beams here also with the columns. Then you have stirrups spanning through. And from the data extraction, the column in foundation height is 1.2. So you put 1.5. Sorry, the column in foundation height is 1.5, not 1.2. So that's why we are using 1.5. Yeah. The next is the starter bar length. The starter bar is usually more than the column in foundation height. The starter bar has bend. It also projects above the ground floor slab, which is called projection. And if you check the detail we have here, you see, we have 900 projection plus 75 mm plus 1.5, then plus bend. That's how we got this 2.78 meters. So we are using 2.78 meters here. Then column base thickness is 0 because we don't have column base in this case. Adjoining wall thickness, the column is not adjoined or it's not adjoining, it's not attached to any wall. So you put 0 there so that the formwork will be calculated on the 4 sides of the column. So from here we have column concrete volume, formwork, and reinforcement in meters and in kg. We also have the stirrups here in meters in kg. In this case, we have 2 types of reinforcement in the columns. In the round column, we have Y20. In the regular columns, we have Y16. So the software will sum up the total reinforcement in kg for both round and regular. So if you are interested in separating the reinforcement as Y16 and Y20, then you need to write this out and record it on your paper. Then before we proceed, we click Save Page. Then we give it the same name, which is regular column details substructure. Then you click Save. Then after this, we move to the next tab, which is round column details substructure. The data we need for the round column details is similar to what we just did, only that we don't need column length and breadth, we need diameter. The diameter from the drawing is given as 0.6 meters, that's 600 mm. And the number of bars is, as you can see, is 6. And here, see 6Y20. So to go to that page, you click round column details. So we are going to name this column 2, round column, column 2. The next is the diameter, which is 0.6, although it's in mm on the drawing, but you change it to meters because you see it's in meters here. The number is 10 numbers. Number of bars, 6 bars. Diameter of the bars are Y20. Then the stirrup diameter is Y10. So the stirrup length, we can also use the stirrup calculator to calculate the single stirrup length. Remember, the software will calculate the number of stirrups and multiply by the stirrup length, which you are going to provide here. So to use the stirrup form, you click stirrup calculator. In this case, we are using the last option in the drop down, which is round shaped stirrup. Provide the diameter 0.6. Then this cell here does not have any title on the heading, so you leave it blank. We don't need it. You see, when you change this to regular, you see we have length, breadth, but when you change this to round, you only need diameter in this case. That's why we don't need this. So the next is the concrete cover, which is 0.03. The next is the laps, which is 0.2. Then after that, you click calculate. Then here we can approximate this value to 1.9 meters and use same. So this value is for a single stirrup. The software will calculate the number of stirrup and multiply by this to give you the total length of the stirrup. The spacing is 0.2 and the column in foundation height is 1.5 meters. The starter bar length is same as column 1, which is 2.78 meters as we have here. Then the thickness is 0. after this, we have the results for the round column, the concrete, formwork, and reinforcement. Remember, this reinforcement is Y20. So if you don't want uh, reinforcement, because in the bill, the reinforcement is given in range. You see Y12 to Y20 in columns. So you can write this out. Then when you get to the bill, you can make necessary adjustment there. Then the startup for the round column and the regular column will be added. The startup quantity will be added together before the software will send it to the BOQ. Then after you've checked all this is also very important. Before you click save page, you should go through your input cells. You should go through what you have imputed, because you may make a mistake. For example, you can put 6 here instead of 0.6, and you get a outrageous figure. So you should be very careful in using this. So after you go through each page you work on, you need to go through the values that you have imputed before you click save. So when you click save, you give it the same name, which is round column details substructure. And you've done that, you click save. Remember I said the reason why I'm still saving it same folder, because I've checked the file path and it's giving me the correct file path which I'm supposed to save to. So once you have done this, I can say we are done with the taking off for this project for substructure. The project has ground beams. It has the entire ground floor area is excavated. I think it's because of the nature of the soil. And you go through the foundation details here. You see we have blinding on the entire surface. Then we have laterite filling here. We have rock filling. Then we have the ground floor slab with a mesh there. So after all, we've done the step 1, which is to extract the data. Step 2 to input the data. Step 3 to save the pages. Step 4 now is to go to the result. So to go to the result, you go down on the page. You see this horizontal scroller. You drag it to the right. When you drag it to the right, you see this vertical. Also, you drag it to the top. Then you can see these 2 small arrows. Click the one pointing right. You keep clicking it. As you are clicking it, you are seeing some other tabs or pages. They are associated with superstructural elements. So since we are concentrated on substructure now, we are leaving out the other tabs. So we are heading on to the result. You keep clicking till you get to the result. When you get there, you click results. Then after that, you click network support provided. That's the only changes you make here. Then after that, you click Elementor BOQ. So with this, we have the BOQ. When you preview the BOQ, you can click Save BOQ. You can save as an Excel file, then you make necessary adjustments to the description or anything you want to change there. So you can give it a BOQ substructure for day 3. So, and we can open as an Excel file.
Salisu, is something happening? I see the thing is frozen or something. It's saying end. Yeah, sorry about that break in transmission. We couldn't hear anything and the thing went blank. So you can continue now, Stanley.
Okay. Okay. We are at the BOQ stage. I showed you how to save the BOQ as an Excel document. So after I quickly preview what we have here, I'm going to open the Excel file which I saved before it went before we had a break. So I was saying the volume for trench excavation here is supposed to be a volume for bulk excavation. So you can change the description as well. Then this is for earthwork support. Then this is for disposal of topsoil, disposal of surplus material, leveling and compacting, anti-termite, backfilling, laterite filling, rock hardcore filling, damp-proof membrane to the entire floor area, and the in-situ concrete, we have concrete in blinding. You see, in this case, we don't have concrete in trench footing because we don't have trenches. We don't have concrete in column base because we don't have column bases. But we have oversight slab concrete. Then we have ground beam concrete. We also have column starter concrete. That's concrete in foundation. Then at formwork, we don't have formwork in formwork to sides of column bases because we don't have column bases. We have formwork to edges of ground floor slab. We have formwork to sides of or faces of ground beam. We have formwork to columns. Although the columns are embedded in the beams, but in some cases, depending on the construction method, the construction method requires the columns to be casted first. That's when you need this formwork to columns. Same for the round column. Like I said earlier on, the material for round column formwork is different, may be different from what you want to use for regular column formwork. That's why the formwork quantities for round and regular are separated. So we also have a reinforcement. We have reinforcement in ground. So reinforcement in column basis is 0 because we don't have column basis. Reinforcement in ground beam. This is what I was saying earlier on. It's the software has given you a range of reinforcement. So I mentioned that you should record it when you were saving those pages which you worked on. Record the Y16 and Y20 if you don't want a summed up results as we have here. So you can, if you did that earlier on, you can make the necessary adjustments in the Excel version of that you have saved, which are still going to open. The next is regular column reinforcement. It's also summed up. Then the stirrups. In this case, we only have Y10 stirrup. So you change this to Y10. Then we have this as mesh. Then you see we don't have block wall because there is no block wall in substructure in this case. Then this is the improved course. Then this is plastering and painting to the external faces of the substructure, which is also the ground beam that is protruded above the ground level. So if we go to the desktop screen now and open the folder which we saved all those data in. I saved the BOQ before the screen went blank. So this is the BOQ. If I open it now, I can make any necessary adjustments that I want to make in terms of the description and whatever. And you can also have an option to just copy out the quantities if you already have your BOQ template. So this will just save you the time of getting the quantities. So you just copy the quantities and use them in your own BOQ template if you wish. So let's quickly preview this, and we are done with the taking off and BOQ for the project which we shared the drawing. So this is what we have. So you can make any correction in terms of adjusting, formatting the cells and others. So thank you very much for your time, and thank you, Waxing, for the privilege, and NIQS for the facilities, and everybody. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Stanley. We appreciate your wealth of knowledge. And the people are asking for the recording for the first 2 days. The first day is already on the platform, the WhatsApp platform, and the second day follows just in a bit. So one person is raising hands, Oluwalayomi, or has he put his hands down? Joshua Dada, I can't seem to. I actually don't want to encourage too much asking of questions, because I don't understand. I said put your question on the Q&A section. Well, somebody is raising hand and dropping hands. I don't. So we'll go first with the question in the Q&A.
I think.
Yes, sir. That's what that is.
Yeah.
Please, if you are speaking, please introduce yourself and please 1 minute ask the question, please. Akisa in the way. Can you please unmute yourself?
Okay. Good morning, everybody.
Okay.
Good morning, ma'am. Can you hear me?
We can hear you. Please, straight to the point.
Good morning, man. And I want to appreciate Mr. Stanley for the job well done. My name is Akisa Ndolubola. I'm a lecturer at the Federal Polytechnic. My question is that I want to ask Mr. Stanley whether the data generated for the beam length consider the overlaps at the T junction and L junctions. And if no, then there's need for us to check again the concrete volume in foundation and earthwork support. Thank you.
You
That's
get
my
the question, Stanley.
It's not clear. Please come again.
Okay. I'm asking whether the data generated for the beam length considered the overlaps at T junction and L junction in the drawing.
Yes, yes, it does. Yes. Let me. That's why I said it's faster when you are using an on-screen measurement software to extract those group A data, like the beam length which we mentioned. The T junctions and L junctions were considered. They were omitted when we are taking the GAT. So I'm going to share my screen now to show you how we took care of that. In using the software, you don't need to be doing deduct T junction, deduct even in excavation, deduct column basis. That's why it's for what you mentioned now, it allows you to measure just what you need, and take care of those junctions. So I'm going to share the screen now and show you how we got that with another software, which is PlanSwift software. So if you take note, the red markings now are the junctions. So when you are measuring it, you take note of the junction. If you see here, I stopped at this, I did not join these two vertical lines together. But
I'm not seeing anything.
Your screen is not sharing. It's not showing.
We are,
Okay.
You can see it now.
Yes.
So about the T junction, for example, this is a T junction we have here. Let me use this one. Can you see this? We have a T junction here. You know that this line, it stops before this T. So if you are doing this manually, it's easy for you to just take the entire length up to this point. But because we are using this software, we had to stop here. So the junctions, the T junctions, this is a T junction and the cross in this case. See, the cross has a vertical and a horizontal line. In taking the GAT here, we took the horizontal line straight, but the vertical line, we stopped just right at this column. It does not touch the 230 mm wall. So the 230 mm wall is considered in this case. So the T, that's how we took care of the T and L. I hope this answers your question, sir.
In a way, but not completely.
Okay.
In a way, yes, the question is answered in a way, but it's not yet completed. Now,
okay.
Are you with me, sir?
Yes, continue.
Okay. You consider the horizontal, in the example you just showed, you stop the vertical line just at the point of joining the horizontal line.
Yes.
But the horizontal line was considered straight, meaning that you took the total beam length for that horizontal beam. Are you with me, sir?
Yes, sir. And then second.
Therefore, if there's any column at that point where you have the horizontal line, meaning that, and we are taking the concrete volume for that column again, meaning there is over measurement there, because the beam must have been considered as a complete length. Are you with me, sir?
You are right. Secondly, let me make this clear that you should not use the same method that I used, because that's why the software is flexible, it's open for adjustment. You see now, you just pointed out a mistake which I made in measuring the GAT. Although I did it that way because I thought it's negligible. But if you want to be well detailed, you can be well detailed when taking your GAT. You see, the cell for providing the beam length is open, so you can, if you take your time to measure the GAT accurately, so you just key in the accurate value. So in measuring the GAT, I can also do it the way you rightly suggested. Let me off this and do another one as a quick example. Okay, doctor is going to show you that.
Hello, participants.
Yes, sir.
Now, you see, that is why we said that one software, learning this software is not sufficient. You know, like he has opened PlanSwift. It is PlanSwift you use in generating the length of beams. And if you are an expert in using software, all these, where you have junctions and so on, they are allowed for. Now, we should even go beyond the question you asked. Now, during the demonstration, we measured 4 sides, for the column formwork. Now, if you measure 4 sides for the column, in pouring, if it depends on the method you use in doing the work. If you cast the beams before the columns, you find out that you don't need columns. I mean, a formwork. on two sides. That is another issue. So the methodology counts a lot. Then also, if this was a practical, what do you call it, project given to you as a quant surveyor, you are a cost expert, you find that there are so many questions upon questions upon questions. Why do you need 54 internal columns when you already have, a beam, ground beam of, 1.5 meter deep and reinforced, with so many rods? What is the height, of the building you are talking about? How many floors? So all these are, if you have maybe 2 or 3 floors, why do you need a beam that is up to that 1.5 meter deep? Then your floor level is 900 mm, above ground level. Why? So all these are things that we can see. We are cost experts. All these are things that we can criticize because at the end of the day, the client will say, but we have a cost expert, on this project. Why did we have all this? So this example is just for practical demonstration of what we want to teach you on this software. But if you were given a project as a qualified quant surveyor, you should ask questions. We are free. That is why you have to know a little, about other, professions. For instance, as quantity surveyors, you may have done structural engineering, as a course. Now, do you apply this, on your projects? If you apply this on your project, you will have a lot of cost saving. Now, why are we talking about this? If you are other countries where maybe cost of cement is low and reinforcement, but here, look at the price of reinforcement and cement, in relation to the overall cost. So things that should reduce costs, we have to study our drawings carefully and take them up before we do even our measurements and go to site. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Doctor. I believe Mr. Akin Sengi has...
So in conclusion, you
can go on.
Yes, like I said earlier on, when you are generating your data, you use your own method of measurement in extracting those data. So I may take my beam guard straight. So in your own case, you can just take out just the points, excluding the columns. Then you in your own case, you will have a little lower guard than what I have. So the software is not fixed, it's open. So you input any data that you feel that is okay with you. But it's very important to understand the meaning of each of the input cells, because when you see beam guard and you are inputting beam depth there, you get wrong results. So the most important thing is to understand the meaning of each of the cell, each of the input cells or text boxes. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Anstanley. I think the main thing is for us to actually just get the logic of how the software works. Well, we all have our own style of measurement. Actually, we all have our own style, whether we want to accept it or not. It's another thing how we are taught. But when we get to the nitty-gritty and we get to work, there is a way that we go about our measurement. So that is left to individual to now work the way you do your measurement into the software so that it can work for you. I think that's just the whole conclusion of the matter. Alex is asking a question. He said the ground beam is half immersed, that he doesn't understand why we are describing the position as above the ground only, that he feels the ground beam is half immersed inside, but we are saying it's above the ground. So why is that? Why are we describing it such? Do you understand the question?
Yes, the effect of choosing above or below ground level is for disposal of excavated material. in measurement, you dispose what you don't have space to backfill. Half of the beam is going, the volume of half of the beam is going to be disposed. That's why we choose half is above ground level, then the other half is below ground level. And in the site and trench details, we have specified the volume to be disposed by providing the entire beam gut as the foundation wall gut, then using the trench excavation depth and the thickness of the beam, which we use as the thickness of the wall. So that has been taken care of in the first page that we worked on, which is the site and trench detail. The reason or the effect of that above or below ground level is just for disposal of materials, surplus materials.
Please, can I come in again? Now, we're talking about the practical aspect. Now, if you check the plastering, the external plastering, we are using a height of 900 mm. 900 mm is net. In practice, if you use the 900 mm, but after 1 or 2 rains, you find that I mean the unplastered part comes out. So if we want to do this in practice, we should add at least 100 or 100 mm so that that can be covered. Then another thing is that this drawing we have, if you were given a drawing like this, you have to sit the structural engineer down, because you have columns that are just hanging on 50 mm blinding. I think this is not sufficient. If the columns are meant to carry any load, they should have a foundation base. However, little it is, 50 mm is not sufficient. The column base ought to have a mat that it will sit on. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Okay, QS Morrison once said he does not understand the explanation on the starter bar length. I think this last answer could have taken care of that. The starter bar length, he said does not understand the explanation, that is not clear to him.
Okay, the starter bar length that we use is, let me share the screen. The starter bar is starting from here, which is the bend. The bend, we use 0.3 as the bend. Then you add it plus 1.5, which is the one going up here. Then when you add this 1.5 plus the kicker, which is 75 mm, then plus 900 mm. That's how we got the entire length of the starter bar. The starter bar in substructure is usually more than the length or the height of the column itself because of this bend and projection.
Let me also add something. Now, during the lecture, he said the starter bar length is 2.7 something. Now, in practice, you don't use 2.7 something. You will use about 3 meters. Because if you use 2.7 something, there will be a lot of course, which will result in a waste. So you want to use a round figure of 3 meters so that you can cut the starter length to maybe four lengths, because 3 times 4 is 12 meters. Thank you.
Okay, sir. Then some people are complaining that on the round column details, that instead of the 1.9, it's showing as a date. I think 2 people had that complaint. So they want to know, how can you correct that the column is appearing as a day, as in 1st of September 2020. That's what it's showing in their column. In the round column details.
The error they are getting is maybe they made a mistake when they are typing in the value. So because if you are typing in value and you mistakenly clicked / instead of dot, let's say you want to type 0.6 and you now put 0/6, it changes to date. So what you do is you close the application, then you load it again. Let me quickly show you how to do that. If you are having that, you close. Okay, let me go back to that page. Let's say, for example, here, instead of 0.6, you use 0/6. And if it's showing you dates, you need to close and reopen.
Okay. You've answered that. It's okay.
Yes. So
Okay.
when you reopen, you import the page back. I just want to show you how to import the previous pages that you've worked on. Then before you get, the round column is actually the third page you worked on. So you need to import the first page, which is site and trench. If you want to import, you click this import, this comes up, then you locate the file, you just double click, or you select and click open. So it will import this page. Then you do the same for the ground beam details. Then
your screen sharing is not showing.
Okay, I said to import the pages, you click import. Then when you click import, you select each of the previous pages that you've worked on. Then it will load the page back, because when you close it, all the works that you did previously will not appear when you open it afresh. So, but since you have already saved them, you just import them back so that at the end you have accumulated result of all the pages you've worked on. So you do that for the first page, the second page, then when you get to the fourth page, which is regular column, you make the necessary correction there.
Okay, thank you. Let's say, how do you change the text within the input cells? For example, changing from 10 diameter to 12 diameter. How do you change within the input cells? Let's say you are working on reinforcement, you want to change from Y10 to Y12.
Okay, you just scroll back using if you are at the right side, you can navigate back with the backward key on your keyboard. You navigate to that particular cell and you just change the value there. For example, if let's say, let me share the screen and show you. For example, I'm in reinforcements. Let's say I have imputed Y16 here. Then I went for, then if I want to go back, you just use your backward key on your keyboard, you go back, then you change this to Y12, and it will affect the results. Let's say in this case, I have 200 meters beam bar length, and the number of bars is 4, number of beams is 1. The see that here the reinforcement is 711 kg. So if I should change this now to Y16, you just go back and change from 12 to 16. To go back to the output, you see that the value has changed from 711 to 1264. So that's how you change. And if you are already at the BOQ or at the result stage, and you decided to change a particular value in the input cell, you need to navigate back to the particular page you want to work on. You make the correction, but before you go back to the B, you must click result again. Before you go back to the B, then you see an updated result or data.
Okay. We have like 5 minutes more. There's somebody that you should please elaborate more on the value modifier and where to apply it. Value modifier and where to apply it.
Hello, I can't hear you clearly.
They say you should elaborate more on the value modifier and where to apply it.
Okay, the value modifier is you can use it when you are pricing a bill, and let's say you use the 45,000 for concrete as an example, and the client says the value is too high, that you should reduce by, let's say, 10% or by 12%. You can use that for, you can use it to increase any value at all. Any value, you can use it to increase or reduce a value by a particular percentage. And the reason why we used it when we are doing reinforcement is because the reinforcement length cannot be the same as the so the beam reinforcement length cannot be the same as the beam length. That's why we increased it by a particular percentage to allow for laps.
Okay. What is the trench? Is the trench excavation the same with the bulk excavation? Are they the same thing?
No, in this case, we don't have
the trench excavation and bulk.
Yeah, in this case, we don't have trench excavation. I said it earlier on that we are using that trench depth. You should, that's why I say it's important to understand how the software works. Where that form we are using is majorly for trenches, but since we are using bulk excavation, so we use that depth there as the depth for bulk excavation. So I said in the final BOQ, we only have excavation volume for trench. So you edit it to bulk excavation volume. You edit the description there.
Let me come in at this. You know, we have different types of foundation. Well, we are not privy to the maybe soil report also, but maybe the engineers felt that the best type of foundation to use is raft. When you are using raft, you know, in most cases, you have to do bulk excavation because the whole place will have to be empty. For you to be able to put in all those columns, ground beams, and so on, put reinforcement, you need an empty space. So the whole place is excavated. It's just like when you are doing what you call it, basement. Basement is deeper than this, but for raft, the depth here is only 75 mm. If you are doing basement, it depends on the number of basement floors. You know, if it's like one for maybe minimum of 3 meters, but if you are going up to say 3 floors, your excavation could be up to say 9 meters. But this one is raft, so raft is not usually too deep. So that is why you have that 75 mm depth. You will assume that everything is removed. The question I expected, you to ask is that you should go through, the bill of quantities, compare the volume of removed surplus and, backfill. If the volume of backfill is more than removed surplus, then something is wrong. Because we expect that everything is going to be, almost everything will be removed. What will come back will be little.
So in short, when you are using when you are working on bulk excavation, The depth of the bulk excavation, the value should be provided in trench depth. So that's just the answer.
Well, we want to say a very big thank you to Dr. Ann Stanley. Someone wants to know that, have you tried to import the rates into the software BOQ? But I think last time you told us that it's something that we might have to do manually when we have generated all the data. I was asking that, can they import rates into the software bill of quantities? So what do you have to say about that?
Yes, you can import rate, but before you import the rate, you must save a blank copy of the bill. That's when you go to the BOQ page, you save a blank copy, then you put in the rate in let's say in Excel, then but you will not change and you will not delete any row. So after that, you import it back into the software, then the rate will be populated and you get amount. Maybe on our next class, we'll treat that.
We are not hearing clearly again.
Can you hear me now?
It's shaking.
I said that yes, you can import rates into the software, but the rate must be provided on the same copy of the BOQ page which you will save. So if you want to do that, the first thing is you save the BOQ page. If you let me share the screen to clarify that. If you navigate to the BOQ section and you click elemental BOQ, if you want to import rate, this is the first thing you do. You save a blank copy first. So here you see we have save BOQ. Then we also have import rate and serial number. So let's say you save this BOQ page. That's the first thing you will do. Then on Excel, because you are saving it as an Excel file, on Excel, you input all the rates on the blank BOQ. Then you save it and you close. Then you import back into the software. And after you have done that, before you now go back to the first page, which is site and trench, then you now start inputting your data. So when you go to the last page, you now have a bill that has rates and amounts. So that's
yes, Olulade is 12 noon. No. It's 12 noon already.
Okay, thank you. Okay, thank you, Mr. Stanley John and Dr. Ofide for a very resourceful time with you. We are coming to the end of today's event. I would like to welcome the chairperson of Waxing QS, Aisha Muhammad, for a closing remark. Welcome, madam. Yes, ma, you are up now. We can.
Hello. Thank
yes, we
you.
Can hear you.
Thank you, Mr. Stanley. Thank you, Dr. Ofide, We really appreciate your submission today. It's been very impactful and insightful. We hope that we all will be able to use what we have learned last week and this week to do what we are supposed to do in our various places of works and classroom. Thank you till we meet tomorrow for another lapse of the classroom. Thank you so much. Thank you, and God bless you. Moderator, thank you so much. Thank you for your efforts in presenting this seminar, will I call it, or class lecture. Thank you so much. Doctor, we appreciate you.
It's well. Thank you very much for the privilege.
Thank you, sir.
It's a pleasure.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much.
It's okay.
Okay. The secretariat staff, OJ, thank you. Salisu.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. We appreciate it. Yes, sir. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, participants.
Thank you very much.
It's a pleasure.
See you tomorrow. If you have any question before we go out, you can use the Q&A or the chat box area.
When you counter them, then
We'll make the questions available to the resource persons. Thank you.